Okay, get this. Get this, everyone. This deep dive. It's going to be a wild one. We're talking AI image recognition, but like on a whole new level.
Oh, yeah, it's really something.
So we're diving into this research paper that's got everyone in AI guzzing. It's called, get this, Learning Transferable Visual Models from Natural Language Supervision.
A mouthful, I know.
But basically, it's all about this system, this AI they created called CLIP. And let me tell you, it is changing the game.
Yeah, it's really fascinating how CLIP learns. So imagine teaching a computer to understand what it sees in pictures, but not by like bombarding it with a zillion pictures, each one with a label, you know?
Right, right.
This is different. Think of it like instead of just showing it a picture of a cat with a label that just says cat, it's like letting the computer scroll through like an endless feed of images online, but with captions, like we all do, right?
Whoa. So instead of just cat, it might see fluffy cat napping or, cat chasing a laser pointer.
Precisely.
Even like grumpy cat meme.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is, having those descriptions, all that extra context, it lets CLIP develop a way deeper understanding than those old AI models. It's not just memorizing, it's getting the context.
So what you're saying is we no longer need those massive data sets of perfectly labeled pictures.
Gone. Well, not gone, but you see what I'm saying?
It's got to be huge for AI research. Saves time, money, all that.
Absolutely. Think about it. The old way to train an AI to recognize something specific, like a traffic sign, you'd need thousands and thousands of images, and each one painstakingly labeled stop sign, yield, all that. CLIP changes everything. Remember we talked about ImageNet, that massive image database everyone uses to test these AIs. CLIP. Way better performance than previous models on ImageNet. And get this, it didn't even use any of those 1.28 million labeled images during its own training.
Wait, back up. So it's performing as well as models that were trained on millions of labeled images.
And sometimes better.
But it never even saw those images. How?
It's the million-dollar question.
It's mind-blowing. But okay, let's talk real world stuff. How does CLIP handle identifying like different plants, compared to the traditional models?
They ran it through the ringer. 27 different data sets, covered all sorts of image recognition tasks. CLIP either matched or did better than the traditional models in 21 out of the 27.
21 out of 27. So not only can it learn from just descriptions, but it's also going head-to-head with the top AI models out there.
That's the thing. It can even handle tasks that it wasn't specifically trained for.
Okay, this is almost too good to be true.
Right.
What's the catch?
Well, there's always a catch, right? One thing they found, CLIP's performance. Not always consistent if it gets hit with images way different from what it saw during training.
So images that are outside its comfort zone. What would be an example of something that would trip up CLIP?
They found it struggled with handwritten digits.
Handwritten digits? Seriously? That seems so basic, especially when you consider some of the complex images it can understand. What's the deal with that?
It's all about the training data. See, CLIP mainly learned from digitally rendered text, like what you're reading right now.
Okay.
Handwritten stuff, all the variations, the inconsistencies, totally foreign language to CLIP.
So even with all that data, there are still gaps in its understanding. It's not a magic bullet.
Exactly. And this highlights, one of the biggest challenges in AI, building models that can actually handle new and unexpected situations.
Speaking of unexpected, the paper mentioned something about CLIP's performance on recognizing German traffic signs. What's that about?
Oh, right. So on the German traffic sign recognition benchmark, CLIP showed a crazy improvement.
Crazy how?
14.7% improvement compared to those older models.
14.7%. Just from text descriptions. That's wild. How's that even possible?
It shows you how differently CLIP learns. See, those older image recognition models, they use really specific labels. So not just traffic sign, but stop sign, yield sign, speed limit sign, and on and on. But CLIP learns from a more general understanding of what traffic signs look like, what they mean, and it's all thanks to those text descriptions.
So it's almost like CLIP is learning the way humans do, associating words and their meanings with visual cues.
Exactly. You got it. And this deeper understanding, it gives CLIP a real edge, especially when it comes to recognizing those subtle differences within categories.
This is incredible. CLIP really seems like the Swiss Army knife of AI.
Right. It can do it all.
But how does it actually do when we ask it to learn something totally new? Not just recognizing what it's seen before, but actually learning a new concept from scratch?
Good question. That takes us to what's called few-shot learning. Instead of relying just on its massive database of knowledge, we're talking about testing CLIP's ability to learn on the fly.
Okay, so it's like giving CLIP a crash course in a new subject.
Exactly.
How did it do?
Well, that's what the researchers wanted to know, too. And what they found, pretty interesting, actually.
So we're back talking about few-shot learning. Remember how CLIP learns new things on the fly?
Right, like a crash course.
What'd the researchers find out?
Well, they found that while CLIP aced the zero-shot learning, where it jumped right in with no examples, its performance in few-shot scenarios, where it gets a handful of examples to learn from. A little surprising, to be honest.
Surprising how? Did it, totally bomb?
No, not a total bomb. It performed, well, basically about the same as this much simpler model they were comparing it to.
Wait, so the AI that's blowing everyone away with its ability to recognize stuff, it's never seen before.
Right.
It's only average when you actually give it a few examples to learn from.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, right?
That doesn't track.
It's almost like it's leaning too much on that huge database of knowledge it already has. And not so good at quickly picking up new information.
So it's like that friend we all have who's read, every book ever,
right,
but can't figure out how to follow a simple recipe.
Exactly. All that knowledge, but hasn't quite mastered integrating new bits of information quickly.
So is there a way to, help CLIP get better at this few-shot learning?
Well, the researchers, they had this idea. What if we could use CLIP's initial predictions, even if they're a little off, as a starting point for its few-shot learning?
Interesting.
Almost like we're saying, hey, CLIP, you're already pretty smart. Use that big brain of yours to get a head start.
So instead of starting from scratch every time, we're giving it a nudge.
Exactly. They tested it out by basically penalizing the few-shot learner if it went too far from CLIP's first guess.
So encouraging it to trust its gut, but still giving it room to adjust. Did it work?
Promising for sure, but still early stages. Sometimes it helped, but a lot of times the best results just came from sticking with CLIP's first instinct.
So more research needed.
Definitely.
It's like fine-tuning a recipe. You need that right mix of ingredients. But okay, even with this whole few-shot thing, it's clear CLIP is opening up some crazy possibilities.
Oh, for sure.
It's changing how we think about AI training,
Absolutely.
But how about its performance on more specific tasks? I know the paper talked about information retrieval.
Right. They wanted to see if CLIP could be used to actually search for information. Imagine an AI-powered Google.
Renee.
They focused on two things. First, could it find the right images based on a text description? And second, could it find the right descriptions when given an image?
So if I typed in, a fluffy cat wearing a tiny hat,
right,
CLIP could find me the perfect picture.
Exactly. And get this, it went up against the best image retrieval models out there, and on a key test using the Flick 30K dataset,
What is she?
huge collection of images,
Okay.
it outperformed them.
Wow, so not only can it understand images and text, but it can connect them in a meaningful way.
Exactly. It can get what you mean.
So it's like actually understanding what we're looking for.
And while it wasn't as dominant when they tested it on finding the right text descriptions for images, it still held its own.
This is incredible. CLIP really is like a Swiss Army knife of AI.
That's what's so exciting. We're just scratching the surface of what it can do.
Totally.
But one of the most unexpected things they found was its ability to understand action.
Action. You mean like what's happening in a video?
Yeah, and remember, CLIP was only trained on still images, no videos. So they were super surprised to find that it could handle action recognition, basically understanding what's going on in a video.
Hold on, so it can learn to understand actions just from looking at pictures.
Pretty wild, right?
That's like learning to swim by watching someone do a cannonball.
It is remarkable. They tested it on those standard action recognition data sets, UCF 101 and Kinetics 700. Those are like obstacle courses for AIs.
Okay.
And CLIP did really well.
So even though it learned from static pictures,
right,
it somehow figured out movement and events.
That's right. And what this tells us is that CLIP isn't just memorizing things, objects and labels.
Right.
It's learning something deeper.
Yeah.
The language of the world and how things work together in it.
That's a pretty profound thought.
Yeah.
CLIP is basically learning to see the world more like we do.
Exactly.
Understanding how things relate to each other, not just what they are in isolation.
It gets the bigger picture.
This is seriously blowing my mind.
Right.
It feels like, with CLIP, we're on the edge of a whole new era for AI.
Yeah.
But CLIP isn't perfect, right? There have to be areas where it still struggles. And those limitations, they could have real-world consequences.
You're absolutely right. No AI is perfect. And just like with any technology this powerful, there are serious things to consider.
Okay, so we've talked about how CLIP is this crazy smart AI, learning to see the world in a whole new way.
Really makes you think.
But like you said, it's not perfect. What are some of the things CLIP still struggles with?
One area where CLIP was a little inconsistent, tasks that need what's called optical character recognition, OCR.
OCR, right? That's like reading text from images, right?
Right.
Like those apps where you scan a document and it turns it into text you can edit.
Exactly. Pretty important skill for an AI that's supposed to understand what it sees, right?
So how'd CLIP do? Could it handle different kinds of text?
They hit it with a bunch of different OCR challenges. Everything from simple digitally rendered text to way more difficult stuff, handwritten numbers, even text in real-world photos, street signs, that kind of thing.
Like a real-world reading test for AI. How'd it do?
Well, with digitally rendered text, aced it.
Makes sense.
Right, because
Yep.
that's mainly what it saw during training. But with the harder stuff, especially the handwritten stuff, performance dropped quite a bit.
So CLIP can read Times New Roman, but your doctor's handwriting.
Yeah, good analogy.
We've all been there.
It shows you how important it is to have diverse training data. CLIP learned mostly from that clean digital text, so it didn't quite get the quirks, you know?
The variations you see in other kinds of writing.
Right.
Makes sense. It's like expecting someone who's only read classic novels to understand, like internet slang.
Right.
But even with those quirks, I mean, come on. CLIP is still way ahead of anything we thought possible. This research is opening some serious doors for AI.
Oh, absolutely. CLIP is pushing the boundaries, no question. It's not just recognizing images, it's understanding the world, connecting language and vision in a way we haven't seen before.
It's mind-blowing when you really think about it.
It is.
It's a little humbling, too. CLIP is showing us there's still so much we don't get about intelligence, artificial, even our own.
Couldn't agree more. And as we develop these even more sophisticated AIs like CLIP, we got to be smart about it. Think
Yeah.
about the impact on society.
Absolutely. Make sure these powerful tools are used for good.
For good, yeah.
Well, this deep dive into CLIP, it's been amazing.
It has.
Feels like a crash course in the future of AI.
Me too. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's clear CLIP is more than just a cool research project, right?
Right.
It's like a sneak peek into a future where AIs get us, get how we see and understand the world
Interact with it, even.
in ways we never thought possible. Yeah.
Exciting times. Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey into the world of CLIP. I have a feeling this is just the beginning.
I think so. Just the beginning.